Motivation is a scam sold to losers. If you wait until you feel like it to work, you will be broke forever. Here's the brutal biological alternative.
Look, the entire multi-billion-dollar self-help industry is built on a complete and total lie. It's based on a fundamental, and I'd argue, an intentional misunderstanding of your own brain chemistry. That little feeling you call motivation, that jolt you get from a video, the rush from a song, that is not some resource you need to cultivate. It's a liability. It's something you need to manage. It is a biological trap that was designed for a world of scarcity that just doesn't exist anymore, and it is actively fighting against you in this one. So let's be absolutely clear. We are not here to coddle your feelings. We are here to diagnose the weakness and give you the protocol. And diagnosis number one is this: your biology is not your friend. It's an obstacle.
We have to be precise with our language here. Dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. It is not the chemical you get as a reward. As neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has made painfully clear, dopamine is the molecule of pursuit. It is the engine of craving. It gets released in anticipation of a reward, not when you actually get it. Think of it like this. It's the chemical that drives a wolf to chase a deer for hours on end, not the feeling it gets when it finally makes the kill. So by seeking out these external hits of motivation, by watching yet another video or listening to another hype track, you are literally conditioning your brain to crave the chase, not the victory. You are becoming an addict for the idea of work, not the execution of it. You're training yourself to be a pursuer of nothing.
Right, so any spike in dopamine that you do not earn through actual legitimate effort is basically a neurochemical loan. And believe me, the interest rate is predatory. Now, drugs of abuse are obviously the most extreme example, but that 2-minute motivational video you just watched, your social media scroll, it operates on the exact same principle. It gives you a huge unearned spike in dopamine that your system was never ever designed to handle. Your biology expects dopamine to be tied to effort, and when you decouple them, you are breaking the contract with your own brain. You're hacking your neurochemistry for a cheap thrill. And the crash? Well, the crash isn't just inevitable, it's mathematically punitive.
This right here, this is the crucial, non-negotiable data point that the entire motivation industry just pretends doesn't exist. The crash doesn't take you back to zero. It plunges you into a deficit. The higher the unearned peak, the deeper the trough that follows. So after the hype from that video fades, you are neurochemically less capable of doing the work. You are more drained, more pathetic than you were before you went looking for the hit. You have functionally made yourself weaker. You've trained your brain that the only way to feel capable is to get an external fix, and that creates a vicious dependency loop that absolutely guarantees long-term failure. You are digging a hole you will never climb out of.
This neurochemical reality, it leads to a brutal but logical conclusion. If the feeling of motivation is a trap, then all of your emotional states are simply noise in the system. They are unreliable, corrupted data points. Think about it. Successful systems do not operate on emotion. An algorithm doesn't care if it feels like it. The stock market doesn't trade based on its mood. This is a primary difference between generational poverty and generational wealth. The masses are enslaved by how they feel. They wait until they feel good to act. The 1%, the elite, they rely on systems, on protocols, on algorithms. Their emotional state is completely irrelevant to their output.
Okay, but that is a hard pill to swallow. I mean, how do you actually start if you have zero energy? What if you've had that dopamine crash, and you genuinely just don't feel like it? What's the first step supposed to be then?
Irrelevant. Your feelings are not a valid input for the decision-making matrix. The question itself is flawed because it operates on the assumption that feeling like it is a prerequisite for action. It is not. You are asking the wrong question because you're listening to the wrong part of your brain.
Inside your skull, there is a perpetual civil war going on. On one side, you've got the limbic system. That's your ancient animal brain. It's purely reactive. It seeks comfort, it avoids pain, and it only cares about what feels good right now. It's the voice asking, how do I feel? It's weak. And on the other side is your prefrontal cortex, the CEO. This is the uniquely human part of the brain that's responsible for logic, long-term planning, and goal-oriented action. To wait for motivation is to let the animal run the entire operation. Discipline, on the other hand, is the assertion of control by the CEO, overriding all the emotional noise from the limbic system to execute the mission no matter the conditions.
So the solution is simple. You have to remove the variable of emotion entirely. You must replace passion with protocol. You need a simple, repeatable algorithm for action that you can execute regardless of your internal state. Passion is fragile. It vanishes with fatigue, with boredom, with the slightest bit of discomfort. You don't need to feel good to perform. You need a system that works even when you feel like absolute garbage. That is the only thing strong enough to build an empire on.
The entire premise you've been sold is completely backward. You think motivation is the spark that leads to action, but the operational reality, as Jeff Hayden puts it here, is that motivation is the result of action. A small, executed task generates a feeling of competence. That competence provides a microdose of earned dopamine, which then chemically fuels the next action. You see, it creates an upward spiral. Action is the cause, motivation is the effect. So stop waiting for the spark and start generating it yourself through raw execution.
And this is the tactical deployment of that protocol, articulated with perfect military clarity by Jocko Willink. The algorithm is not complex. There is no 5-step plan for getting started. All that analysis of when and where and how, that's just a sophisticated form of procrastination created by your animal brain to avoid discomfort. The protocol is one word: go. You don't get ready, you don't wait for the right conditions, you don't check your feelings. You initiate action from a dead stop. Here, now.
That initial moment of action, that moment of go, it's gonna feel like pain. Your limbic system will scream that this is wrong, that it's hard, that you should retreat back to comfort. This is the most critical moment in the entire process. That feeling of resistance is not a warning sign to stop. It is a biological indicator that you are doing something valuable. You have to learn to lean into this friction, to actually seek it out. It is the price of admission for any kind of growth.
But that friction, it feels like real resistance. It feels like pain. So you're telling me to just ignore my body's signal to stop? Isn't this limbic friction just a fancy term for driving yourself straight into burnout? How is that even sustainable?
You are confusing the signal for growth with the signal for damage. That agitation, what Huberman calls limbic friction, is the feeling of your brain releasing norepinephrine and epinephrine. Yes, these are stress neurochemicals. They are supposed to feel uncomfortable. They are designed to put your brain in a state of heightened focus and alertness. This is the optimal and frankly the only biological state for neuroplasticity, for learning, for actually changing your brain. The friction is the gateway to growth. Burnout is what happens when you have directionless, unrewarding effort. Limbic friction is the feeling of targeted, productive change happening at the level of your neurons. By actively avoiding it, you are choosing to remain static and weak.
No, this is the master level technique. The ultimate goal is to fundamentally rewire your entire reward system. Instead of attaching that dopamine reward to the outcome, the finished project, the money, the praise from other people, you have to learn to attach it to the friction itself. You must subjectively teach your brain that the struggle is the reward. When you can do this, when the feeling of pure effort triggers that dopamine release, you create a self-sustaining biological engine for infinite willpower. The harder it gets, the more fuel you generate. You become anti-fragile. You learn to want the hard thing for its own sake. The next lie you've been sold is that the path to success is exciting. It is not. It is relentlessly, painfully boring. As Imangaji's monk mode philosophy shows us, elite performance is not defined by moments of passion or some cinematic breakthrough. It is defined by its monotony. The social media highlight reel is a fantasy designed to sell you courses. The reality is just repetition.
Building real wealth, a world-class physique, or a masterful skill set is not a montage of thrilling events. It's a boring, predictable, and linear process of doing the same few critical tasks every single day for years. It's waking up at the same time, eating the same meals, doing the same deep work. The glamour is a lie. The power is in the monotony. The motivation industry sells you a movie. The real world rewards diligent, boring consistency. You have to fall in love with the boredom.
So the protocol for this is simple. You build a plug-and-chug system, an algorithm you run daily without any deviation. First, you create an environment that is so sterile and optimized for work that your feelings don't even have room to interfere. You eliminate all distractions. Second, you prioritize non-negotiable blocks of deep work, the hard, valuable tasks that actually move the needle. Third, you identify the 3 to 5 daily actions that produce 99% of your results, and you execute them religiously, like a machine. The system runs whether you feel good or bad. Your feelings are no longer part of the operational equation.
And this brings us to the core thesis of all high performance, encapsulated perfectly by Jocko Willink: discipline equals freedom. This boring, monotonous, restrictive protocol doesn't imprison you, it liberates you. It frees you from the tyranny of your own fleeting moods, your weaknesses, your laziness, all of your biological baggage. It is the only path to true sovereignty. So the final tool is a tactical protocol for detaching from that emotional noise so you can execute the plan.
This is the protocol. Step 1. Monitor. You have to become an observer of your own mind. Identify the feelings, frustration, anger, demotivation, the moment they pop up. Name them. These are your red flags. They are signals, not commands. Step 2. Detach. Before you react, you must create separation. Do not let instinct drive your actions. Physically step back from your desk. Take tactical breaths. Silently count to 10. Create a gap between stimulus and response. Step 3. Accept. For everything outside of your direct control, adopt an "it is what it is" framework. Wasting energy fighting reality is a weakness you simply cannot afford. And finally, step 4. Reset. If the emotional noise is overwhelming, use the 5-minute rule. Disengage completely and do a neutral, unrelated task for 5 minutes. This acts as a circuit breaker, allowing you to re-engage with logic, not emotion.
This is the process of re-engineering yourself. You are moving from an emotional reactor, a slave to your limbic system, to a logical executor, an operator. You're building a system where the inputs, your goals, are processed through a logical protocol, and the output is consistent, relentless execution. You're not suppressing emotion, you are making it irrelevant to the outcome. You are building yourself into a machine designed for a single purpose: to win.
Subscribe for clarity. No cheap motivation here.